We are now in late May of the 2024 season, and the Giants are sitting in first place, 4.5 games in front of the San Diego Padres at 33-14 on the season. And there has been a roster move that has been made, as Peter Mooney is now on the IL with an ACL sprain. He is out 1 to 2 weeks, and called up from AAA to take his place will be Leonardo Rivas. He will be splitting time at second base with Edmundo Sosa, while Mooney is on the IL recovering. Giants playing host to the Atlanta Braves here at Oracle Park, as the Braves are going to be sending out one of their new starting pitchers in Taijuan Walker, the former D-back, making his 9th start of the season, and he'll be opposed by Dylan Bundy, who's making his 10th start of the year for the Giants. Take a look at the Giants lineup 1-2-9, as well as the opposing Braves lineup. We'll start things off top half of the first inning, where Ozzie Albies is going to hit a ball off of Dylan Bundy, ricochets over to third base side, and that's going to be an infield single for Albies. So he's on first, as then Dansby Swanson hits a ball to left field. Peterson misplays it, and that's going to allow Swanson to have himself a double, so it's second and third. Nobody out. Bundy in a bit of a jam, but here he gets a line drive right at Joey Gallo for the first out. Next batter up would be Dom Smith, playing first base on the day while Freddie Freeman gets a rest. He is going to pop one up to shallow left field. Baez puts it away for out number 2, and then Bundy gets out of the jam unscathed by striking out Austin Riley for the third out. Move things on bottom of the first now. The king of the first inning home run, Jock Peterson, is back, baby. That one's way out of here. A right center field shot for Peterson makes it a 1-0 lead for the Giants. Top of the third, Bundy working a ground ball with a runner on first, 1 out. That's a 5-4-3 inning-ending double play. On to the top of the fourth now, he starts off the inning by striking out Ronald Acuna onto the curveball, and then he would get the inning to come to an end by striking out Ubayashi in his piss yellow cleats for the third out. On to the bottom of the fourth now, where Elliot Ramos absolutely clobbers a ball into the left field seats. Sosa hops out of the box and everything, and he continues his tear on the early season, as it's now a 2-0 lead for the Giants. Bottom of the fifth, and the Braves are back to work. Joe Adell, their center fielder, smacks one to right field. Then with 1 out, it's Taijuan Walker, lays down a bunt, moves the speedy Adell over into scoring position. Brings up Ozzie Albies. He is going to hit one in the left field. Peterson fields, but it's Adell rounding third, heading home. The play at the plate, not in time. Adell scores. The lead is now cut in half, as then Dansby Swanson hits a ground ball through the right side of the infield. Ordonez then muffs the ground ball, and that allows the runners to move up to second and third. So 2 runners in scoring position. Alex Claudio then comes on in a tight situation, and he would work Acuna down to an 0-2 count, works a ground ball, but then it's going to be through the infield, out to center field. Both runs come in, and the Giants now lose their lead. Braves leading 3-2. Giants trying to strike back in the bottom half of the inning as Rivas walks. Pan the Man comes on to then pinch hit, and he draws himself a walk as well, as the Braves are terrified of facing Pan the Man. As then first and second, nobody out. Fuentes rips one to right field. Ubayashi puts it away. That's going to tag up the runner to third base. The runner's on the corners for Jock Peterson. He draws himself a walk, so bases are now juiced for the big bat of Javi Baez, who goes down swinging on the splitter. 2 down in the inning now, brings up Joey Gallo, chops one at the second base, and nobody scores in the inning. 3-2 Braves remains the score. Hansel Robles comes on in the bottom of the 8th for the Braves, trying to keep the lead where it is. Joey Gallo rips a ball over the leaping glove of Dom Smith down the right field line. Base knock. 1 out in the inning now. Elliot Ramos powers one at the left center field. This one's in the air. It's carrying. It's in the bleachers. A 2-run shot for Elliot Ramos, his second homer of the day. This one puts the Giants on top 4-3. Gazelman then comes on looking for the save in the top of the 9th. It was a bit of a shaky inning, but he does get out of it as he completes the save, and the Giants win this one over the Atlanta Braves by a score of 4-3. Elliot Ramos, of course, gets player of the game honors on the day. He had a solo shot and a go-ahead 2-run home run in the bottom of the 8th inning. Tanner Scott gets the win, Hansel Robles gets the loss, and then Robert Gazelman, who as of right now is the Giants' closer, gets his 10th save of the season. The Giants now travel down to Florida to take on the Miami Marlins in a game where the teams are rocking throwback unis. Trevor Rogers, the lefty, getting the start for the Marlins, and he'll be opposed by the young right-hander Marco Murillo, making his 9th start of the season for the Giants. Take a look at their lineup on the day 1-9, as well as the Marlins lineup 1-9. Start things off top half of the first, where the Giants get off to a hot start. 2 outs, Javi Baez absolutely destroying a pitch, no doubt, home run, left field. 1-0 lead for the Giants. Next batter up is Joey Gallo. Works a 2-0 count, and he decides he wants to get on the action. Sends it a long way out to right center field, and that baby's gone as well. Back-to-back home runs, and the Giants have themselves a 2-0 lead in this ballgame. On to the bottom of the second, where Murillo goes to work. He strikes out Nathaniel Lowe for the first out. After that, it's Travis Demerit going down looking on the up-and-in fastball. After that, it brings up Diaz, and he's going down on that cutter. 93 on the gun. Murillo strikes out the side. Move things on to the bottom of the third, where Laura comes to the plate. He's going to bloop one into left field. Ordonez coming on, diving, cannot make the catch, so Laura is able to get into second base with a double. So he's in scoring position, brings up the catcher, Luis Torrens, draws himself a walk. So first and second, nobody out. Rogers, of course, then lays down a bunt, moves the runners up to second and third with 1 out. Then brings up the leadoff hitter in Victor Mesa, who slaps one out to right field, club off field. He's got a strong arm, but not strong enough to throw out either of those runners. As they come in and tie the game at 2, Rosel Herrera then lines into a snag and tag double play. What a play from Connor Panis over at first base. Bottom of the 5th, after allowing a single, Murillo would then strike out Laura. Torrens for the second out, and then it would be the pitcher Rogers, who of course strikes out. Another inning with 3 strikeouts for Marco Murillo, the rookie from Venezuela. Move things on to the top of the 6th inning, where Elliot Ramos is going to smack one down the right field line, just barely hits the chalk and lands fair. That gets into the corner. Easy double for Ramos. He's on second in scoring position, as then Baez chops one at the shortstop. Herrera makes the play. Runner moves up. Gallo, hard hit ground ball. Beautiful diving play from Herrera. No play at the plate, though, as the Giants do take the lead. But let's take a look at this diving stop from Herrera at shortstop. Beautiful play from the Marlins shortstop to at least save a hit from Gallo. And then we move on to the bottom of the 6th, where Rosel Herrera's at the dish, and he's going to hit one out to right center field. That gets over the head of Ramos in center field, and that's going to be a double for Herrera in scoring position. Brings up Doyle, line drive down the right field line. Derek Kloboff diving out of nowhere, makes the play, gets to his feet, gets it into the cutoff man, and holds the runner at second base. What a play by Derek Kloboff on the right field line. And then with 2 outs in the inning, it's a ground ball to Gallo, makes the stab, fires across the diamond, keeps the lead at 3-2. Eliezer Hernandez came on in the 7th, but he would stay on for a second inning of work in the 8th inning for the Marlins. Where leading off that inning was Lorenzo Ordonez, draws himself a walk, then goes and immediately swipes second to get himself in a scoring position. Ramos would then line out, so now it's Baez at the dish. Ground ball up the middle into center field. That's a base knock. Drives in Ordonez easily, as it's now a 4-2 lead for the Giants. Gazelman comes on, looking for his 13th save this season, and he would get that as he strikes out Demerit on the 12-6 curve for the 3rd out of the inning. And the final out of the game, the Giants win this one 4-2 over the Miami Marlins. The youngster Marco Murillo picks up Player of the Game honors. He went 6 very strong innings on the day, only allowed 4 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, and struck out 9 opposing batters. Javi Baez was 2 for 4 at the plate of the day. He had a long home run in the first inning for a solo shot, and then he also had an RBI single later on in the game. Joey Gallo was 1 for 4 with a solo shot as well. And then Connor Panis had a 2-hit day, 2 for 4 for Pan the Man. And now before we actually move on to the next game, we do have a thing to go over, and that is the entry draft, the 2024 draft, where the Giants selected 28th overall this year. With that 28th overall pick, they selected a right-handed pitcher by the name of Tim Lucas out of the state of Rhode Island, and then in the competitive balance round A, they took Raul Oliveros, a lefty from the Dominican Republic. In the compensation round for losing Manny Margot, they took Ernesto Gomez, an infielder from Minnesota. And then in the competitive balance round B, the Giants took Dwayne Langford, a right-handed pitcher out of the state of Missouri. And then in the third round, it was a catcher, Sebastian Rosada from Venezuela. In the fourth round, it was Pedro Tavares, an outfielder from the Dominican Republic. And then the final pick of their draft was in the fifth round, a right-handed pitcher named Andre Gomez from Panama. And now, as you can see by the calendar on your screen, we are now into the month of June, obviously, because that is when the draft is, and the Giants have been playing exceptionally well. They are currently 45-16 on the season, 8.5 game lead on the San Diego Padres for first place in the NL West, 8-2 in their last 10 games. It's also worth mentioning that in that previous series against the Marlins that we showed, Chris Sale actually threw a no-hitter. He dominated that Marlins lineup and he pitched a no-hitter in a 7-0 win, so that's what you like to see from our ace. Also, JB Bukauskas is back from his fractured forearm. He is now in a long reliever role as Yaxel Rios has been sent back down to AAA. He was pitching well in the big leagues, but Marco Rio has been pitching incredibly well in that fifth starter role, and I figured why not give Bukauskas a role in the bullpen, and Rios has plenty of options, so he gets sent back down to AAA. He just was the odd man out. We also had another player returning from injury, and Peter Mooney has recovered from his ACL sprain, and Edmundo Sosa was not able to take advantage of his opportunity, so he was sent back down to AAA. He cleared waivers, and now he's down with the Sacramento River Cats. So that means that Leonardo Rivas is now the backup infielder in the big leagues as he stayed up on the big league roster. Connor Panis has been absolutely insane for us this season coming off the bench as mainly the fourth outfielder. He has been slashing .377, .435, and a slugging percentage of .701. That is a 1.137 OPS through 77 ABs. He's got 6 home runs, and he has now taken over as the first baseman against left-handed pitching. That was Seth Beer's spot. He has not been that great this year, so now that is now Connor Panis' spot, so he's getting those ABs plus the ABs he's getting as a guy who gets time at first base and the fourth outfielder against righties whenever someone needs a rest. And now back on the topic of injuries, the Mets, who we are about to take on in a game, they have quite a few. The two main ones are Jacob deGrom is out with a fractured forearm, so that's a big blow to their rotation, and then Jeff McNeil, their stud second baseman, is out with a torn Achilles. So that is a huge blow to their lineup. Their second baseman is now Kevin Kramer, who they got in the Maikel Franco to the Pirates trade this offseason. So the Giants now travel out to Flushing to take on the New York Mets, who are going to be sending out the lefty David Peterson for the 13th time this season, and he'll be opposed by Derek Rodriguez, making his 13th start as well. He's having another great year for the Giants. Take a look at their lineup on the day 1-2-9, as well as the opposing New York Mets lineup. We'll start things off bottom half of the second inning, where Derek Rodriguez had a rough day on the hill. A line drive right back at him, ricochets off his leg over to third base. That's an infield single for Jake Lamb. Next batter up is Mitch Haniger, gets a hanging changeup, and he sends it out into that right field porch. That's a 2-run shot, and the Mets jump out to a 2-0 lead as you watch the apple get raised in center field. On to the bottom of the third now, where another hanging changeup is going to result in a solo shot, this time off the bat of Jose Ramirez. It's now a 3-0 lead for the Mets, and then later in the inning, Mookie Betts gets a fastball, line drive, hits off the top of the fence, that's a home run as well. Another solo shot allows the Mets to expand their lead to 4-0 in this game. As we move on to the top of the fifth now, where the Giants are at the dish, Connor Panis, ground ball up the middle, that's some lefty-on-lefty crime for a base knock. He's on first base now with one out, Peter Mooney at the plate, powering one out to left center field, that's going to get down in the gap. That's going to be a double for Mooney, and Panis scores all the way from first base as the Giants are now on the board. 4-1 is the score. Then the pitcher spot was up, so Seth Beer came on to pinch hit for the Giants, and he would proceed to draw himself a walk, so it's first and second with one out for the Giants. Brings up Leonardo Rivas, who goes down swinging on a changeup. 2 down in the inning now, still first and second, obviously. Ramos gets the green light on 3-0, and he would ground out to Rosario at shortstop. Score remains 4-1. JB Bukauskas, back from his injury, came on for the Giants in the bottom of the 5th, and he would proceed to strike out everybody. Jose Ramirez comes up, goes down on the fastball. Next batter up, Ahmed Rosario gets a taste of the slider, and then Mookie Betts also gets a taste of that. The nasty slider strikes at the last 2 as Bukauskas strikes at the side, and he is looking healthy. On to the top of the 6th, Joey Gallo checks his swing. They'll say he did not go around, so that is ball 4, take your base. Then with 2 outs in the inning, Connor Panis also draws a walk, so first and second for Derek Klauboff. Line drive left field, but right at Teoscar Hernandez for out number 3. Score remains 4-1. Top of the 7th, Peter Mooney going out to left center again. That's going to be another 2-bagger on the day for Peter Mooney, as he is now on second base to kick off the inning. Gilberto Fuentes then came on to pinch hit for the Giants, and then with a runner on second base and no outs, 2-0 count, hits a ground ball at the second base. That's going to move the runner over to third base, and then Leonardo Rivas also grounds out to shortstop. That's going to drive in the run, make it a 4-2 game. Lead is cut in half, as we now move on to the top of the 9th, where Drew Verhagen and his generic wind-up 1 comes on into the game. Giants down to their last strike, and Peter Mooney powers one out to right field over the head of Mookie Betts. That's going to be his 3rd 2-bagger of the game. In scoring position now, the tying run at the plate is the pinch hitter Jock Peterson. He would, of course, work a full count, gets a pitch to hit, sends it out to deep right center field, but it's going to die out right before the track. Unfortunate ending for the Giants as they fall to the Mets in this ballgame by a score of 4-2. Mookie Betts gets player of the game honors. He had a 2-hit day, including a solo shot, and then Jose Ramirez also had a solo home run, while Mitch Haniger had a 2-run shot that started off the scoring with the Mets that they never ended up losing the lead again in this ballgame, as Derek Rodriguez had a rough day, and David Peterson was able to shut down the powerful lineup of the San Francisco Giants. So with that being said, that's going to wrap things up here for this edition of the San Francisco Giants franchise. I've been your host, Jerseyborn, and I am saying, Nikita Gusev. That is all.